Think you know, but you don't know until you do know. See you in a few minutes. Grab your popcorn and snacks. Find a comfy spot, take a seat or lie down, and let me transport you to a place of fantasy, ghost stories, ancient legends, odd creatures, alien encounters, and other magical topics. You may even decide to join the conversation. From faraway lands to your own backyard, with a small dash of pixie dust. Turn out the lights and open your minds. The journey... First I cut off the front, then I cut off the back cut off. Oh, it's one of those days. Anyway, welcome, everybody. Happy Friday, casual Friday. Thank God. That's why we can have these little goof-ahs. Restream. Anyway, welcome. I'm just happy to be here. My name is Charlotte. I'm going to be your host for the next hour. I'm also the owner of the California Haunts Paranormal Investigation Team, based out of sunny right now, Sacramento, California. It's sunny and nice. Before it turns into sunny and I can't say that word on social media, but sunny and Mojave Desert like Sacramento. Okay, we'll just put it that way. So I'm excited about coming to this. Is the long weekend. I forgot it was a long weekend. I was thinking back today when I was driving, running some errands. Was that this is the weekend my mother and I would be our first camping weekend. So we would take off to go up camping at the base of Mount Shasta and have a really great time together. And I remember doing that. I bought this big old tent. It was like a home away from home for us. We had the dog with us, and we'd go up and maybe take one of my friends with us and all that. And that's something we're going to be doing this summer. Well, my producer and I are going to be doing this summer. We're going to be going live from wherever. Well, we hope if I have internet. We don't know if we're going to have internet wherever I'm live from. Most camp areas do have internet, depending where you go. And we're hoping to go live for you guys. It'll probably be a 2-day, either an overnight or a 2-day thing. But we're definitely going to go SUV camping with you guys and take you with us, and fishing and all this other stuff. So we're looking forward to a bunch of stuff this summer, in addition to doing ghost hunts and other things. Which reminds me, this weekend I thought about going out to the zoo, but it's my legs just, I don't know about my legs this weekend. Anyway, so what I decided to do was, like last week we were supposed to go do that picnic out by the river. So what we're going to do, and I think Nancy will like this. What we're going to do is, we have a very haunted cemetery here in Sacramento. And a lot of historical figures in this cemetery. Not that they haunt it, but there's a lot of history in there. There's names you might recognize, like Sutter and Kodak and Watt. Names like that, right? Watt, like the light bulb, right? Okay? Things like that. So we're going to take you through the cemetery, and well, also, and if maybe Nancy will help me out with this a little bit this weekend, maybe not, she doesn't have to, but we'll be looking at some haunted locations in the cemetery. Tell you some stories about what or who may be there. So we're going to take you through that cemetery, and then afterwards, if time permits, we will take you on the picnic that I promised over at by the river, because we're going to be right by one of the parks that's by the river, where my family and I used to launch our boat, and it's kind of fun to go. It's kind of fun to go watch the boats go by and stuff. So it's going to be an interesting weekend, and we got 3 days to fit it all in, which is nice. So come on and join us, and I know for sure I'll have internet at the river, for sure. But you never know. I have a weird internet carrier, so we'll see how things go with the cemetery. I know the city has internet as well. The city has a free internet, so we might be able to be on that. But I am going to take you guys through what they call the Old City Cemetery in Sacramento. And so we'll get to visit some of these historic graves and talk about some of the ghosties. In the meantime, welcome to the weekend. I'm also going to be teaching psychic development classes coming up here. Be on the lookout for a list of those, so you guys can get on board, learn what it's like to become not so much to become a psychic, but to bring your abilities out, because those abilities are hidden underneath. Okay, as we grow up, we're all born with abilities, but as we grow up and get busy with life, those abilities get buried. They get buried down, and so sometimes as adults there's a trigger that starts them off again, or you need a class, and they do, and they will, in most cases, they will reappear and come out and be very vibrant in a lot of cases. Late bloomers, and all that. All right, so today Nancy's with us. I'm going to let her get in so she can get to her topic. She's chomping at the bit to talk to us about this. And I thought the topic was interesting. I thought it was funny. Last night I was kind of laughing about it on my show on TikTok. But yeah, so here we go. Let me bring Nancy in, and she can talk to us about that.
Hi, everybody. Good evening. Good evening. Uh, Sunny California. Tomorrow afternoon we're supposed to have rain, at least in Oriole direction. Not very much. But last week we're only having what 1.01 percentage of perception precipitation here in Orville. Fudging. It rained all day. It was more than that. I have no
Well,
idea.
I hear Southern California is in for it this weekend. They're
Oh,
supposed to have high winds and all kinds of stuff going on this weekend. It's supposed to be cold down there. So,
uh, almost can't plan it. Um, anyway, so
well, isn't
by
this
the way,
isn't this that time of year that okay, mothers call it
what?
pneumonia weather?
That's right. That's
Yeah,
right. I've heard that
because the
too.
weather's just like this.
Well, the kids run outside playing, they get soaking
Yeah,
wet, they come in, they get pneumonia. So
yeah,
there's
yeah,
really, yeah, or they have the windows open during the nighttime and the kid gets cold
yeah.
and you and I have had allergies constantly. I have clients
Oh,
that call me
it's
and
been
say, "Am I
it's
sick with
this.
allergies? Do I have pneumonia?" Clearly, and then New York clients, a couple of more, let's see, Virginia and Virginia, New York, and then I had someone in Florida. Were you sick in Florida? So in Florida, were you sick also? I think so. I can't remember. I think last time I talked to her, she was,
I
oh,
love it.
scary, scary. But it's all across the nation,
Yeah,
allergens, everything.
yeah.
Um, by the way, that cemetery tour, this is the big City Cemetery, uh, Broadway and 13th Street.
This is
And
Nancy's gig.
this is Nancy's gig. I was
Yeah.
invited by John Betancourt. They had tried other intuitive mediums. And this is where I got to a place of saying, I'm not insane, this is real stuff. And he took me down there to test me. And this is in July, the hottest time of year.
Hmm.
And those of us who are doing this for a living or do this casually, if you're too hot or too cold, it's real hard to work. So you get out there in 112 weather, and he says, "Tell me a story. I'm going to prove it, and then we're going to do a tour, and I'm going to tell you if you're right or not." Well, I woke him up. The very first case, and I've talked about this on the air, it absolutely astounded me. There was a hump of a, excuse me, um, an unalive person, woman, was hunched over on the ground. And she'd laid there so long, hunched up with her knees pulled up and her arms underneath her chest like this, crying with her forehead on the ground. Very unsettling vision. Crying, 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 saying all three babies are born there. When I do this, people say, what, and I go, it just comes to me so fast that I can't hardly control it. A lady the other day wanted 45 minutes talk. I says, yeah, maybe 20 minutes. So stretch it out to half hour. It's like I talk like a man, blah, 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 like this. So anyway, I told him that three babies were buried there. I told him what she must have died after the third one of her because she looked really like 34 years old. And he found out later that there was okay, 13th and Broadway, if you look it up, Sacramento City Cemetery, there's a street that's right in front. Well, in front of that is and I don't know if it's still there, but a building, and that's where they carve the headstones.
Yeah.
Well, past the headstones is another boulevard. That cemetery went past where the building is to carve the headstones all the way to the next boulevard.
Hmm.
When he walked over to, and I followed him because he really wanted to, he was 6 foot something, long legs, and he was bound determined, oh, here's another fake, right? So he runs over to the tombstone, and she was crying on top of the tombstones with two babies listed. And then he researched it and found out there had been another infant buried just almost to the other street where the building with the tombstone. A third baby had been moved to where the two were. So there was three babies under the headstone. It's like people talk to me, and I go, of all things I could make up, let's make up a story
Hmm.
about a woman talking about three babies born and uh,
Right.
died and buried in the same plot. That's really, I mean, let's talk about this, right? And that's the year that I met this fool over here. It was the other way. Like this. And this cocky little Little shit comes up, roll, 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 roll. I set her straight, and Marianne Woolsey, the cemetery, she actually took a picture of the girl.
We
She'd
got her, yeah.
shown up to be seen, and she's sitting there. Can't remember the video or a series of
Nancy,
photographs. And
Nancy
the
is sitting.
grave,
Nancy is standing near her grave, describing her, pointing.
uh,
Nancy has this thing about her hands, and she's always had this thing. Might as well be Italian,
yeah,
like windmills going. So I'm shooting with an infrared cam. I'm shooting infrared film, which requires stand still, but we did it anyway. So it's kind of out
that's
of
why I think it's
focus
me.
because Nancy's got her propeller hands going on, and you actually see Nancy, and she's turned towards her, and you see her sitting there, and you can actually see pearls around her neck and her
So
hat.
you can see her
Yeah,
face. What's
yeah,
crazy, I think there was more than one picture taken, and
yeah,
she's actually turning her head. Now, I've talked endless hours with Shar and everybody else. These birds have nothing else to do but sit. They don't stay by the tombstone. They can hear us talk about them, and then they show up.
yeah,
And she showed up right on her tombstone.
yeah.
And you can actually see this young girl. She was 13 years old about that. And you can see her turn her head, but you also can see the pearls.
Mhm,
And of course, I'm looking at her. You have to understand, both my parents are artists, and early in my life, I was an artist, and I did a lot of paintings. I have one of me running on the beach here. I did drawing of me even, and so I do have an ability. I also got into engineering, and so you can't make mistakes in engineering. So I'm very. My first career was engineering, Pacific Bell. First accounting, then engineering, then management. So I was supervisor over these people, and in some ways, you can't make mistakes,
mhm.
and so I've learned and taught myself to be that way. And so my readings are that way, but my vision particularly is that way. And it's only because I've done it every day, but and I'm going to mention this here, 35 years. So in some ways, when I see a spirit person, and that's what I do, is I give a lot of visual. In fact, I can see her right now. It's great. Go ahead, Char.
That when I talk about at the beginning here, when I was talking about the psychic development classes and how
Yeah.
you're born with it, I had a lot of activity here when I was growing up. I saw it. Then I went through a period, like I'm describing to you guys, where it went. I don't know if you want to say it went into hibernation, but it was in hibernation.
Yeah.
And
Well, we
um,
deny it for a while.
yeah, at the time that I did this cemetery tour with Nancy, I was still in hibernation. And we laughed because we had decided to do a Halloween. I was the editor of the paper at the time, the
Uh-huh.
school paper, in this college, and we decided to do this whole section on haunted Sacramento, and that's how
Oh, yeah.
Nancy and I met. And so we talked to a gentleman, Dennis. I can't remember his name now. My God, how can I ever forget this man's name?
And
Dennis. Anyway, he was a very famous ghost hunter, very famous metaphysical guy. And I went to
oh,
his
okay.
house, interviewed him, and he had told me, looking at me seriously, remember, this is where I'm really sarcastic about this stuff, okay? And he looked at me, he
Little
said,
brat.
101 people have been abducted by aliens in Sacramento. And I went,
That's right.
okay,
Okay.
okay. So we go to Nancy's thing at the cemetery, and it's cold, it's October, it's freezing, it's that time of year. And I get in line, and we have to sign a little thingy, for it. And the photographer and I are standing there, and 99 people had no, 101 people ahead of us had signed up to see Nancy speak, to
That
take
one.
us to the cemetery.
Let me back up there. The tours start in July
Yeah,
and go through October
yeah,
30th. So this
yeah,
is September, October when she
yeah,
showed up. By
yeah,
the end, I've got 250 people. It was
yeah.
really fun.
So I'm looking at the register, and I'm looking at the photographer, and I said, "Come here, come here, come here." She goes, "What?" I said, "Look, 101 people signed up for this thing. How much you want to bet they're all the ones that have been abducted?" And that's where my mind was, because the number was perfect. I mean,
I love
but
that.
but
Wonderful.
then I just had another funny thought with you too, because you're talking about July. You're trying to walk him around and all this, and this is Nancy in October, okay? And I mean, it's like 40 degrees outside, okay? Can you feel that cold spot? Put your hand over here and feel the cold spot. And I'm thinking, it's 40 degrees, woman. What cold spot could there be? But yeah,
It
now,
wasn't that cold.
no, but I find
I,
it funny because now that I know about you, now you say you were there in July trying to find these
yeah,
things. It makes more
yeah.
sense for the cold spots.
Well,
But I thought that was hysterically funny.
a spirit kind will take your life force so that
Yeah,
it can generate more
yeah,
vibration or plasma, whatever it is from we can
yeah,
see. they don't need to do it for me. For some reason, I can see them by putting my life force into them. Um, I'm not sure how this works. Am I on camera? My monitor over here showing that I'm on shows orange.
No, you look
Am I?
fine.
Okay,
You look
that's
fine.
strange here. Anyway, to get back, let's finish this up. We started in 95 and went to 2001. Unbeknownst to both of us, the last year he got diagnosed with pancreatic cancer and died.
Yeah.
And I sometimes wonder, did I just do 4 or 5 tours every year for 6 years? 95, 6, 7, 8, 9, 6 years, just to prove to him that we've survived. And he did admit to me there was another one. There was I got so many stories that this, you think I would forget these. There was a little section right down the middle, and this hill was there with a enclosure. I can't remember the enclosure material, but it was a gate over brick or something. And this tall, lean man said he was part of the government. I don't remember what his title was, but out of California, Sacramento. And he's leaning against this big obelisk, and I don't know if it belonged to him or somebody else. And he points down to the ground. He says, "My wife's buried here." I go, "Oh, how nice." John Ben, of course, says, "What are you talking about?" And I'm talking to the spirit guy. It's like, he says, I started describing him. And I says, "Oh, he's pointing to the ground." He said, "His wife's buried here." And John says, that's no women there. Those are just the men who were the governing forces of California." And I gave him this description, and John was just bound determined to tell me I'm wrong. He just wanted to. "John, are you hearing me talk about you, honey?" And he ran up there, and sure shooting, the guy was this, and he looked him up, and he's a tall, thin guy, right? I got him. But the wife was buried right there. He says, "I've never known anyone to say there was a woman here, because these are supposed to be just the men who run the government. Their families are buried elsewhere." Not this guy. He had his wife there. You know who ran the household. "I'm going to get buried next to you. You know that?" "Oh, okay."
You make me laugh about that. We'll do one more and then we'll get back. We'll get into what we're doing today.
"Oh, yeah,
Um,
please. I've got so
I was
much to
coming
talk
out of that
about."
dry because when I met you, then that's what I think you triggered it. I think that's what you triggered that because when I ended up, you know, graduating that year, going to work in Woodland like I did,
Okay. Yeah, the
that's
newspaper.
I was right between the opera house and a place that signed people up for crematorium. So I was right I was right there, and so that's where I had a lot of it. I got all that back. But I remember doing go. That's before I started ghost hunting too. And then I got into ghost hunting. I had someone. We were on our way to one of the old hotels in California with this
Uh-huh.
gal in the back seat. And you talk about unnerving, you guys. We're sitting in the car, and like John Betancourt, who are you talking to, right? I'm, I'm driving along, focusing on the road. We go by this cemetery. We get up about 3 miles, and I hear her go, "And what was your name when you were alive?" And I'm looking
Yeah.
at I look at my passenger, and my passenger looks at me, and then and we're both like real
Was that
slow,
some,
looking up in the rearview mirror to see
that's
my
a,
face.
was that Sabrina or Karen?
No, that was somebody named Michelle. That was in the car with us, and the person rode all the way to the place with us, sat outside while we did the ghost hunt, rode back, got out of the car at the cemetery on the way back. But I mean, it was really unnerving, you guys. And I swear to God, we both looked at each other, and then we both looked in the rearview mirror, and we just went, "There's no one back there," you know.
That happens to me a lot.
Yeah.
People drive with me, and after a while, now anybody get in the car with me, I'm not going to chastise you, but I'll never forget Larry and I. He had a cousin who passed away. He went all
Yeah.
the way to Texas to visit this cousin, and it had been 35, 40 years since he'd seen him. They grew up together in Modesto. And so we went somewhere. You know, Larry and I like jump in the car and just taking a drive. So we were going somewhere. And I look in the back seat. I went, "Oh, shit." Excuse me. Watch my mouth. Uh, I said, "There's a guy behind us in the back seat." And he goes, "No, there isn't." And I described the cousin that had just passed away that he went to Texas to visit. And I had never even seen a picture of him. And it's nothing like, I married him. He saw me at East West Bookstore. And I talked about his dead wife, and he had been a widower for a couple of years before he even went to the bookstore. He was interested because someone had told him about the medium and got a reading, and he wanted to investigate, which most of us do when things like that happen to us. And he was trying to, and so you can't get around me, be my friend without people use and abuse me. They just call it, say, I have a question. I go, oh, yeah. My family, friends, everybody, including Shar.
I do it.
And
Yeah.
yeah, yeah. And so being married to me, this is constant, always, always. In fact, was it last night or yesterday morning? Um, I got two cats. I'm surprised they're not, one of them is little. He's been suffering from fleas, unfortunately. We got him taken care of. And he's gotten to where he's jumped right up here, and it's kind of like he's over here, so I don't know if he's jumping. And but the big one, which is really a big cat, like your sharp big cat,
Yeah.
he usually walks underneath my legs to get my attention because you can enter the desk from one side. And I'm sitting there and my pant leg, and I go, oh, where's, and I'm reaching down trying to find a pant leg. And the fudge is that big cat? And he's so loud, he didn't meow and roar. I stood up and he was asleep on his perch way over there. And the other one's over here, and I'm going, who's visiting me today? Because you know, I don't know who it is. And I'm thinking, oh, someone else has joined me. And they say that psychic peoples like myself and Shark, animals love us
Yeah.
because we have a lot of energy. And you get to a place you go, okay, little kids, I can be in a store and there'll be one mom with one kid in the entire store. The minute they get next to me, the child starts yelling, like, I wanted to, like, I gotta, sure, I've got to get this going, honey. Let's
Yeah.
move it.
Yeah.
Someone say,
You know
stop
what?
talking.
You know what? We'll pick a Friday and we'll talk about all this stuff because 30 years. There's a lot of adventures between us, and stuff that we've experienced together, and not only and different stuff we've
Yeah,
experienced apart.
just
So
you and
what?
I known each other for
Yeah,
30 years.
30 something years. Yeah. So
Oh, talk about feeling old. I'm
yeah, I
okay.
feel old. All right, go on. I don't want to feel old no more. Go, go, go.
Okay, so this starts out talking about how old I am, everybody. My birthday was April 30th, 2 days ago, and I'm now 77 years old. Yes, I color my hair. I'm not a fool. I have Indian. I take after my mother's mother, who's American Indians. And they have the yellow. I have a yellow undertone, and the hair is really, really dark. In fact, when it started going gray here and there, it was really kind of ugly. It's kind of a yellow. It's not pretty white. So I do color my hair, and I love it. Um, I love my life and everything. Uh, so I'm 77. So in 2 days, May 4th was the first day of the rest of my life. And I'll have worked here in this world for 35 years. Now, what's really terrible, I worked 24 years with Pacific Bell. Add that up, everybody. I could I could not make that statement and have everybody go, well, how old is that old woman talking to us? And I do love, I can't hardly believe how wonderful this has been. But with this is all the lessons I've been giving you and talking to you about what I know, and I'm not even tip the iceberg. There's so much that, and Shara, I just mentioned to her today, I've got to get my own show going. I was kind of waiting for a friend. She had a family issue going on, and we're going to banter, and we're going to be talking about ghosties and life and this kind of stuff like Shara and I do. Shara's going to take off and have a whole new beginnings here. She's got to go blast like a rocket. So I'm going to be doing what I do with Shar here with my friend Karen, and then me by myself, I'm going to talk about the clients and stories like I'm doing with Shar here. So hopefully this next week or so I'll be getting going. But the topic tonight, you think you know, but you don't know until you do know. And I made that up 35 years ago, 30 years ago, because I was amazed at how many times we deny. And I'll be giving a lot of demonstrations here and talk about it. And please take it with the with graciousness that I don't talk about other people so much, but I have me as a reference. It's like, oh, the woman's just bragging about herself. I'm not. I'm just making me as an example. So let me do that, okay? And so all those years ago, those years ago, I got cancer, stage 3.5, very serious, in 1987. And 88, I went through all the treatments. July 1st of that year, I left my husband. German Italian Catholic cop. Give me grace. Give me grace. Undercover. Big dollar. Leitra was his taste. lot of big, and it changed him, and not to his dismay. It just was different. So sometimes it works out, sometimes it doesn't. Because I felt like, and I talk to this topic a lot. We oftentimes deny ourselves. We oftentimes do what's expected. Of course, I've raised kids. I had a really great career, making a lot of money. Yet it wasn't enough because I never knew if I was going to live long enough. And so the joke's on me. Yay, God didn't want me. I'm still working here. I have years, I hope, 3 years doing this. At least I'd like to back off a little at 80. 3 years. Uh, so anyway, so this week before May 4th, 1990, my little friend, and I won't embarrass her because she took me, yeah, she's in Auburn, California. She's in Auburn. Just if you, when she sees this, she'll know I'm talking about her. She took me to a psychic. And I remember walking into this lady's house. She was very lovely, really gracious, soft. The front room had the drapes that go like this, scallop on the window. Everything was a blue, soft blue, baby blue. It was just lovely. White carpet, little round table. It wasn't gypsy or looking anything at all. And of course, I had that vision. And of course, my hands, everybody. So when I started this 1990, I had my house, and people used to visit. Hi, honey. Used to visit and go, oh, she is so cute. This house is so feminine. I had the floral everything. I'm one of those, right? Like my backdrop. I'm gonna. Oh, sorry. Okay, lay down. I, yeah, this the one that's not well. But anyway, so what happened was we sat down. She's my friend never had a reading before. Would you please talk to her? And I'm going, oh my God, what are you going to tell me, right? And it was so foreign to me. And of course, I had been. I don't. We could spend a whole night. I know it. Yes, honey. I could spend a whole night talking about things I used to do, and my husband used to say, "Oh, women's intuition, right?" And this woman just took off like a blizzard. And she says, oh my God, you're so intuitive. You go all around you all the time. You're going to create a new career path. You're going to do this. You're going to do that. I'm looking at her like she made all this play, right? I'm like, oh, what are you doing here, right? And at some point, I just surrendered because I didn't believe a fudging word she said. I mean, when you're working at a telephone company, it's like when, so I had met Larry, my husband, in high school, and we dated 4.5 years and got married. And after college, we put 2 years in, we got married. And so in those years, I did move out and I created a life, and I got a job at a telephone company, but I had been gone that day, and they called up after I took the test. I was 1 out of 15. I was the only one that passed everything. It's kind of like, was I intuitive or really that smart? I mean, really, who knows, right? Anyway, if you got a job with Ma Bell or state of California, federal government was for life. In the years that I was got married, which was in 67, there were jobs that you stayed with, and I had no intention of leaving. And so this gracious, beautiful woman in this blue house, if you're watching, please touch base with me. It's kind of like I didn't believe her. And it's like, I think I know me. I think I understand who I am. And you're not going to sit there and tell me something that I will not accept. And it's not like I denied her. It's just that she got so excited. She goes, oh my God, you're going to just. And she went on to tell me, and remember, I've been Pacific Bell for a really long time at this point, 22 years. She says, oh, I was going to be famous. And if you're listening, remember, always touch base with me because I don't make up things because everything comes back at you, right? Karma is really strong here. I know, honey. Um, and famous was as in the first 15 years, I was everywhere. Tom Sullivan was a client of mine on the radio. I was on him a lot of times. East West Bookstore, big conventions in Sacramento. Oh, geez, theater in the round, the big 6 years of cemetery tours. I was everywhere. So that's what she's making reference. I certainly am not living the life of wealth as a famous person would. I just am a hard worker, and I'm here to help the masses. It's just what it is. And so I made a snap judgment. I denied everything. I was pleasant, but when we left, I went, "Oh my God, are you kidding?"
I'm sorry, it
That
sounds
was
familiar. Just go ahead.
the, So that was a week before May 4th, 1990. My birthday was Monday, the 30th, and on Friday, May 4th, I was directed. I mean, we're talking, you will turn the steering wheel. You go, first off, you go from Auburn. They told me there was sunrise, go Sunrise Mall, you shop. I was there 10 minutes. They said, no, okay, now turn around and leave. I said, I just got here. And it was almost like being pushed. I could not, oh, I'm sorry. I could not deny that this exists for us. And
Mhm.
so they told me where to turn and they told me where to go. And it's like, oh my God, where am I here? A little white house in the countryside with the Madonna in the window. Oh, sure, I'm going to park and go in there. I was backing out, and this tall man came out waving at me. Rolled the window up. And it was the first thing he said, why don't you go get a hamburger and come back? We're going to do readings. Have you seen readings done? I'm going to do psychometry. I hadn't heard that word before, and I went, okay. And he had the door open, and his wife was waving, hi. I said, I'll be back. That was May 4th, 1990. And I'm going to pet the cat, so don't jump on my lap here. um, May 4th, 1990, and it's been 35 years. So as he picked up an object, he was getting information, but so was I, and faster. And it was just, I could talk all night. It was just amazing to me that this was even possible. Yet, my whole marriage, I was doing things like this. So, in some ways, I thought I knew who I was. I did not. I made a snap judgment. I hope I didn't hurt her feelings. I feel bad. I think about her a lot. I wish I could even remember her name and thank her for being so brass as to awaken me up to accept it. Because if she hadn't said that, I would have gone to the church, I would have witnessed it and not thought anything of it.
Mhm.
But because it was thrown at me and I did a demonstration, I read 8 people that night. Within a month, I had 50 people showing up. 50. The word got out. Every Friday night, I entertained there. I think the third week of fourth week was 34. Within another week or two, I had 50. Go ahead, Char.
When you talk about getting the information faster than he would, what happened with me, and this is like I said when I teach my class, everybody I'm going to tell you all about the different ways that people realize that their radar are out, the antenna are out.
Uh-huh.
And what happened with me was not only did I start to feel and see stuff, was that when I went to work in Placerville, I got to the point where I could tell what people were going to say to me before they said it.
Hmm.
And
Hmm.
I thought, wow. And then I was having this thing where before I go on an investigation, the night before I go on an investigation, the ghost we were supposed to investigate would visit me at work.
Now, that is amazing. You're right up there. In
Yeah.
fact, how many times have you clients are watching this? I'll have people visit me and I go, well, who are you? And then
Who
the
are
client
you?
will tell, who are you?
Yeah. Yeah.
And then the client will be the next day saying, I want to talk to you. And I said, oh, does he look like? They go, yeah. And I said, well, he's been visiting me. In fact, I meant to call. Oh, I'm sorry. I meant to call a lady. I read her a couple days ago, and I was in bed last night or the night before, and the daughter's energy showed up, and she's a lot. Oh, that's another story. Okay, we got to get going. I'm
Yeah. Let's
going to
get moving.
apologize. Okay, so the thing was, when I got into the church, I realized they know more than we do. The universe is in charge. She got the information before I was willing to accept it. And when I did, it made me realize that there's more to life. And because of that, I stayed in it. Because of that, 2 years later, I left the telephone company. I was off supervisor, and anybody who's in management knows your job description says 60 plus hours a week, not 40, 60,
Hmm.
because I had 5 satellite offices, always gone. And I just couldn't come home and work 3 hours every night, Friday night, make a big group, and then all day Saturday. I had to make a decision. My friend Paula, I talked to her. I said, I got to give one of these up. And she says, how dare you give that this up? For how long you live, how many people can you help? And it was a decision made in that moment.
Hmm.
So that's how it works. They work through her to tell me the truth, and it's really amazing. Okay. Sometimes it's unsettling. It's misunderstood and changes an outcome that you thought you knew better. Because
Yeah.
I was going to stay with the telephone company, and in some ways it was comforting, striking out Yoma on the heels of being ill like I had been. Um, in some ways. it's such a long story. We'll have to talk another night on the outcome, how I got even diagnosed. Amazing, amazing. It's like the universe says, can't let her come back home yet. And I'm still amazed. As many close calls as Shar and I have had, we just compare notes at times and other friends. It's just amazing to. So sometimes we'll make judgments without hearing all the facts, or we don't have the facts, or it's meant not to be told to us until we have an accidental discover. And discovery is exciting. As many times as I've given reading, I am absolutely a personality. I like to plan. I'm an organizer to the extreme. If things get out of line right here, I can't stand it. I have to look at the pile. I have to make sure, and I have a lot of paper. So it's kind of like, "Grr." So sometimes you have to acknowledge who you are. You have to say, I can wait for the answer. If you can't wait for the answer, you have to step back and say, I trust the universe. And I'm going to be talking about a few times about this. And with that, I'm going to share some things and then you will identify. Some months back, um, I was getting to where it felt like I needed to buy extra groceries. But what was really weird is I was um, at a place where I needed to buy batteries and flashlights. And for some reason, it was my idea, my way of saying I'm protected. And it was on the heels of the LA fires. So the fires was when was the fires, Shar? The LA
It was a
fires, we
while
just had
back.
them.
It was a while back.
Yeah, a year?
Yeah, in a year
No,
maybe.
is it? Well, anyway, to make a long story short, it was like 5 days. And I was talking, I don't remember, I've told Shar, but there's a couple people I was sharing this. I'm so driven with this. And we can pick up. So even though you don't know, you can't talking there. Okay. Um, he has not been well, so he's getting pampered and he's eating it up. So now he says, I think I deserve more all the time. Um, so when we get those things happening to us, I don't know the answer. I can't prejudge the answer. But because I've been in this business long enough, I have stepped back and learned that, as my friend said to me one night, she said, sometimes you just have to get the popcorn and sit back and wait. And that's a wonderful way of saying, I understand. Because the universe, every time I talk to somebody, I said, the lessons that are given to us in life that you chose and the experiences you desire for this particular lifetime is exactly the way you wanted it, which is amazing. I mean, at what point do you think you have control? Now, clearly, my father was killed when I was 6, and then we had a rough time, and I could judge that all day long. But if I told you that the man I eventually met in high school married, we lived in Inglewood, Hollywood. We lived in Hollywood, excuse me. I was born in Inglewood. He was born and raised about 100 miles north of us. His family moved to Northern California because his father worked for the government. And then we moved up there because my father was killed. My mother's mother lived in North Sacramento. The synchronicitous situations that have us network together and end up together is amazing. It just like hurts my head. So sometimes when you have the impulse to do something, buy groceries, flashlights of all things, I caught up and I go, this crazy, crazy, because some things I don't buy. Now the downside is I had it again, and we had a fire here in Hornbrook. I mean, we had a fire in Hornbrook, North, Wairika, yes, but in here in Orville there was another fire, and we just had it. I can't remember the name, but my mind just went blank. It went quite. It was huge. It went around Oro Dam. So it was a huge fire. I also got upset and anxious on that one. Again, I had to step back and say, what is happening? And I was debating if I say it. I am now in that stage again. So within a week to a whole month, maybe I can't tell. Sometimes I get these, something's going to happen, and I am not told when or how. And someone said, what does it feel like? It says, I need to be prepared. And the only thing I can speak to you is it could be fire or earthquake. In my part of the
Mhm.
world, we don't have tornadoes like the states do. So the only other option, we're not going to be flooded. The dam is
Mhm.
too big to break. So it has to be earthquake or storms or something, not this time of year. So if you're in California, Northern California, kind of stack up on flashlights, batteries, staples around the house. That's really a good idea. Um, so, and then I'm going to keep going here. Um, Did you get a job date listening to friends? I'm not sure what I wanted to say about that. I typed up, this has been a couple of days, but we sometimes make snap judgments. Sometimes we say we know something about somebody and it's called gossip. So the gossip in the world is what keeps us alive. Some families live for the gossip of other people in the family. Are you kidding me? People gossip with other people in the office. What is more exciting than to watch movie stars gossip about each other or watch the shows? Uh, my friend watches New Jersey Wives or what is those shows? LA Wives and all those things. All they do
Yeah.
is gossip. The Kardashians shows, and there's all this nickering behind the scenes gossip. Well, that's a premise of the whole show is what they could talk about each other. What's the most juicy thing that's happened lately? I really don't follow that. My whole world is negative because of people calling me. They say, "Oh, Nancy, I can't wait to talk to you." I go, "Great, whatever you're ready." And they don't call saying my life is wonderful. Help me sort this mess out, Nancy, is really the bottom line. And I just created a new word for me. I'm a cliff catcher, and I'm the one that catches you when you're about ready to fall off a cliff. I like that. Cliff catcher. So I just did this. And sometimes even in the midst of gossip, and we're just going to talk about a few things here. Have you ever had a situation when you've heard something and you think you know something, but your instincts tell you different? You have to trust your instincts first. If you're in a group or a situation where you're hearing something or you have to do something that doesn't feel right, always trust that. Say you're planning a trip and you think you know how long it's going to take you to get there, right? I have done this, everybody. And you're going to be in the car a couple hours. Well, let me think here. Do you have a potty stop plan? Do you have food in your car? I tell you, I have taken trips where I've sat on the freeway 4 or 5 hours. You don't know something until you know something. So every time you plan, and oh my gosh, how many moms out there, how many times you've had a trip planned and you have kids? You're going to take kids? Do you have enough diapers? Do you have enough food? Do you have enough water? Do you have a little can in the car for the kids to tinkle in? I have been there, done that. And no, I didn't plan well enough. You have to think ahead. So what you thought you knew, you didn't know until you ended the trip and you then know the whole story. Same with people, place, and things. Create this, find the facts. And if you aren't sure, plan it better. I mean, I'm talking generalities because I can't cover every situation. Get all the facts. What you choose to believe, you will fully believe until you're proven wrong. Being a parent, planning a trip, planning your job, all these things sometimes will backfire. And sometimes the world has a sense of humor. Oh, we're going to teach you a lesson. You think you know everything. We're just going to twirl you around until you fall down. And you just go, blah, 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 blah. And you go, wow, that hurt. And then in today's climate, people who are so secure with their jobs and career paths, and all of a sudden it's yanked out from underneath you. I'd like to do a show with Shar, and I'm going to call it the What If Show. What if this happens? What if that happens? What is your outcome? How to draw a diagram, how to create a safe path. I know it's hard. I went through the recession in '07, '08, and my sister worked for Hillman attorneys in Seattle, Washington. Lehman Brothers went out. You know how many people in her building alone, this was a lawyer's acquisition properties and all that. She was the acquisition staff person for the attorneys that combined buildings. 3,000 people lost their job in a couple hours.
Mm.
She closed everything up. How do you plan your life when when that happened? And I was doing shows with Shar in Sierra Vista. I worked in Tombstone, Arizona at the time, and we had to leave that house and go to the one that we didn't sell because we did an overlap. We built one house and then we put the other one on the market. We put on the market, and 2 weeks later, the crash. So we lost both those houses because I didn't have any work. Nobody called, and I was self-employed. I was not 62, not until we went into the next house, and I took my Social Security early based on 24 years specific ballot. Thank goodness I had that, but it's virtually nothing. As time goes on, it's becoming less and less. So in some ways, what you know and what you don't know, sometimes you have to play the what if game along with it. So you're doing your life and you think you know the movie you've created for your life. And women seem to do this a little bit more than men. We say, oh, we want a family, we want to get married, we want a family, this is our career path, and we create this little movie of what everybody should be and like and our what the outcome of life would be for you, and you have this picture. And then you're thrown off the deck into the water, and you thought, well, I'm at Lake Tahoe, I'm in the ocean, where is San Bernardino? Not San Bernardino, but um, I had a place in my mind, Santa Cruz, you're on the ocean, it's all gorgeous. And someone says, by the way, I want to throw you off the cliff here, right on the onto the sand. And you go, what did you do that for? Well, what makes you think you deserve that? We have to do the what if game, but it's also what you know, what you don't know until you do know. If you don't think it through when the bad things happen, then you have to do what they call the what if game. What if this does happen? Do you know there's 250,000 women in over 65 years old who are living in the cars in America? I think the number's a lot higher than that. I mean, we're talking 800,000 people living in vehicles. The thing that's really amazing, more than half of them are loving it. So they played the what if game and they won. If you get on cheaprvliving.com on YouTube or type in, and I love these women, senior women in RV living, just put in RV living or car living in your car. What if game won? They won the game. And sometimes we forget that we can have a winning situation, but we're impatient. We think we know better. We think we have an outcome of what we've designed for ourselves. You cannot depend on that. In all my life, I love cats. I'm allergic to cats. So it's not always the environment, but if I get that dandruff, and I don't know if you could see because I can't see the whole screen of, but this is from my cat loving me right here. He was right here. So I apologize for that. So we have to get all the facts. So I just turned it into a topic going really negative. That sometimes in this environment, we have to look at the options on on our life. And we have to be happy in our life no matter what the options don't give us, or the options that we think we should have are not given to us. I'm going to do some double speaking here, and I don't mean to get you confused. What you think you don't know until you really do know. And sometimes the best plan of mice and men often go astray. So what I would suggest at times is we make multiple plans. The what if game is how do you choose what to do when you have no other choices to do it? Ooh, Nancy, I'm gonna have to listen to this a couple times, aren't you? Huh? Um, let's get off a negative topic there of losing everything and talk about something else negative, right? These are examples of what you think you know, but you don't know until you do know. And a lot of times you got to figure out something like your intuition that is at play. Most of the women I talk to have had children, and life is tough. It's tough, and we sometimes don't like what we get. Like I said, my father was killed by a drunk driver head on. Took a life insurance policy out the night he was supposed to. He took a life insurance policy out effective April 1st, 1956, 55. Um, and he was killed at 2:30 in the morning, April 1st. And the police tried to feel that he had killed himself, but yet the other car had three Korean War heroes coming back from partying, and they were all drunk. So tell me how my father created that. Pretty, I got the gift from him, clearly. And my mother was so distraught and forever broke me. So sometimes I work too much because I don't want to end up, as she stated, um, as she found out from his mother who came to visit, oh, your husband's dead. My son has been killed by a drunk driver. And her only comment at the moment was, "Don't. What am I to do? I have no money." Click. I ran up to her and said, "Mom, I'll take care of you." And here I was 6 years old. So, that's really hard time. And she didn't have a what if game. But her brother said, "Move in with us." So we went from our house to his house, to Aunt's house, to Grandma's house, and then another move. So we had to move around until she did find out there was money coming. The what if game was planned out for her without her even knowing it. And the same with my daughter. I was at work at 11795 Education Street behind the Auburn Faith Hospital, in front of the Auburn Faith Hospital, for those of you who know the area, Highway 49. And I don't think I was managing it. That was a draftsman, manholes and conduit. Uh, and I had this terrible feeling of something happening. And unfortunately, I do get that now with the environment and things happen in politics. I actually can feel things happening. And I don't voice it too often because what good is it at times? Sometimes we have to wait and see what happens. And I do this all the time. And I do give warnings to people I trust that need who are close to me, absolutely. And I had this terrible feeling of suffering. And then I felt like I could think of my daughter and I was scared and I told people in the audience, and unbeknownst to me, my daughter had been delivered to the Auburn Faith Hospital behind us, Newcastle, California. They went off the edge of the road, and she had been grounded and could not drive. Took her license away, so she had a male friend come over and drive for her. And the problem was with that is that it was a rainy day and they slid off the road and she broke her arm and ripped her knee open, and she was in Auburn Faith Hospital. And when I found out, the only thing I could think of is I already knew this. What I didn't know, what I thought what was it? I don't know. So something came to me, and then I really didn't know, but then I found out. And sometimes the universe says to you, how you deal with it is how you choose to deal with it. I didn't get mad, I didn't get angry. I was a witness. And all those years ago, so that would have been 40 years ago. No, it would have been 37 years ago. This, I can't believe it. 37 years ago. Even then, at that point, I knew what what that outcome could have been worse for her if I'd gone in raging. It doesn't do any good because it wasn't about me, it was about her. All I could do was support system. I did not know, but I felt. I did not know until I found out. And when I found out, then it was my choice how I was to deal with it. That doesn't mean I don't get upset easily. I get upset, sure, just like everybody else. And sometimes I have to pull and rein myself in and pull myself back and say, you know better. What makes you think you're in charge? And what good is it for you to get upset and anxious about something? I get anxious because I'm older. And sometimes we do that. But at the same time, why go there? So if you have a family member and there's an accident, all you can do is pace yourself, breathe, and witness the situation. Now, hopefully, you don't have a death happening. That's a whole different story. But if it was an injury and recovery, all you can do is be a support system. And I was. It was a terrible thing. And what was crazy, we belonged to Kaiser, and I had to put my broken daughter in my car and drive her down to Kaiser Hospital at Cottage because the ambulance that brought her there, we ended up getting the $500 bill something, but I didn't have, couldn't do it. So we put her in a car broken to the emergency room at Kaiser in Sacramento from Auburn. That was quite a deal. Talk about taking your breath. Then I had to call her dad. He wasn't as enlightened as I was. All the worry that you must will not change any outcome. So that's what most of this is about tonight. No matter what you do, I have to tell people, and constantly am talking about people. Where's your power? What is your power? And as you lay your power out, are you going to harm yourself, harm others? Or are you going to learn and enjoy and learn from a situation? We have to gather our strength to learn from something or help other people learn their lesson. She never went to this again. Um, and I tell people, stop worrying about situation. Of course, I worry about situations. Absolutely. So when in the middle of the night, when you wake up and you're worrying about something, give yourself a break and say, until I know the outcome of something or this is done, laying in bed and thinking about it will not change anything. If anything, I will remember this and worry about it when I get up in the morning. hmm Can you do that? Sure, you can. How many times have I laid in bed and worried about a test or a situation? And then I go to a place thinking, well, this is not helping me. If I'm awake half the night, okay, I'll just let it go and go back to sleep. And then I'll worry about it in the morning. All right. The other day, I was talking to a little person, nurse, and we were talking about things. And I says, never, ever, if you're raising children, wait until Friday afternoon to wonder if you should take the child to the doctor or not. Never go into a weekend with an issue, no matter what it is.
Mm-hmm.
If you need groceries or you have unexpected friends that could show up, always have a reserve. If you have noodles and spaghetti, whatever, have a backup. The what if game. You have to be prepared. So I'm a super packer. I try to remember everything. Most women do that. But at the same time, I've been shown the lesson so often. I got it. But having children, as many times as I've had issues with children, you get to a place of thinking through, what do I need? I'm going to do the what if game. So we're kind of incorporate that. Until you know something, you know nothing. Until the weekend's over, then you know you're safe, kind of a thing. Okay. Um, this is some of this is another example. This morning I stay up late and I get up a little. Last night I got to bed 11-ish, and so I slept in until I woke up about 5:30. So that's a good night. It is. And I got up and I was kind of, I came out here and my husband came out and we were talking about something. And then I went back, he went back and I went in. I said, you're talking to me and I'm just not feeling good. Kind of like, And I thought to myself, well, I better just get up and get my day started. And got cleaned up and on and on. And I thought, what is wrong with me? And I'm getting ready for my son to come fly in tomorrow. And he wrote me a note and said he was sick and he had to cancel. Guess what I was picking up? I was picking up his illness because he was sick. And he was on when I called him after he texted me, he said that he was doing kind of like a Zoom meeting. So he was in a conference. So he had to get back to me later. He's been sick all week with a cold. And I thought, first off, I don't need to be exposed to anything. Even if he's not going to feel good. So I said, don't worry about it. Let's plan it for 2 weeks. So my not feeling well was him. I didn't know what it was. I thought it was me. I really didn't know. And then I found out it was him. So this happens to people a lot. This has happened to Shar and it happened to some of my friends. And I'm not going to say who they are, but girlfriends, right? Um, there's people all over the place and and she'll call or she'll call just when I'm at the phone. Now, lately I've been busy, but I can't get it all the time. But it's amazing the number of times that we'll think of people and they'll call,
Mm-hmm.
or you'll call them and they'll have, I was just thinking of you, think about giving you a call and you're doing that. It's amazing how we're connected. So sometimes when you are disoriented, not feeling good, whatever, and you think it's you think you have an answer, you really don't have an answer until you find out later, oh, it wasn't me at all. Anger, despondency, quiet, wanting to sit down and be quiet. As many times as I've felt that, it wasn't always me, it was the client calling, which is perfectly all right. I think the universe had me get into this because I'm a pretty peaceful person, and so I can roll with the punches a little bit. Um, we all are designed to do in life what we're supposed to do. So there you are, right? When I was an engineer before I became a supervisor, I was drawing all the time. And I thought I died and gone to heaven. I went, I'm actually start designing hills and dales and roads and manholes and conduit and aerial lines. And I just loved it. And then they moved me to engineering staff. And, you know, then I got into computer design and programs and then management. But I thought it was wonderful. Ooh, that sounded strange. Um, so, uh, so anyway, what I was picking up was my son, and that can be something that you people really can. I want to get going. I got a couple more things I want to talk about. I just want to talk that I didn't hide the fact that I have spent decades in the sun. I was in high school and I was the lifeguard, and I taught swimming. I was going to do physical ed in college. And the backup would have been history, art, the kind of things I've really enjoyed. But I was always very athletic, and then we got into horses, we got into running. I was always outside. Even though I'm darker, uh, we can still get things. And I've had cancer on my face, and I had to go in the other day to get it fixed because they removed a lot on two different occasions. And I've had other spots. So at my age, when you get older, you have things like that. You can't go 77 years in the sun, 50 years at least, without, you got to take care of yourself. And when I was a young woman, we saw the cute little commercials of a little girl with a bathing suit being pulled off her bottom by a dog. Well, we adults didn't think anything of it. Let's just get burnt, and it's the babies we got to protect with the SPF. That's what it was. So this past Tuesday, I went into the dermatologist's office, and I was the only one in there. A lady came in. She was lovely. Um, I looked at her outfit. Oh, I've gained some weight. I'm on a diet because this girl looked beautiful in her outfit. It was a tiger print. And she had a lot of hair. It was frosted and she had a cute little jacket. I said, oh, she's so cute. I love that. And she was either a salesperson or delivery. I didn't know what because she went right to it. They ushered her back and she came back. She had nothing in her arms and she left. And then I waited a half hour and I finally saw the dermatologist. Oh, Nancy looks great, you know. And then I left. And it was like I had to wait. So between seeing her getting in the movie, leaving, it was about an hour. And then I went to the post office. It's across town. And while I was in the post office, I went, oh, I'm next to Marshall's. It's like the fourth building. You know, the strip places. It was uh, post office, Chinese food, beauty supply, and then Marshalls. Oh, Marshall, let's go into Marshalls, everybody, like TJ Maxx, right? And of course, they're owned by the same people. So when you go into any of these big stores, you go in one side and you make a big horseshoe loop and then you check out. Well, about 20 feet in, of course, women go to the makeup. And so I went past the makeup, and that same woman was standing on the end of the aisle looking at eyeshadow. And that's what I was going to head for. That same woman that I saw in the dermatologist's office. And I looked at her, I thought, there's that cute out there's that cute outfit. That's that same woman. And she looked at me like, do I know? I says, the dermatologist's office. Oh. And I looked at her, I says, so what's the odds of us running into each other? And she went, oh, I don't know. Think about it. Oroville is not real big, but it's sure big enough. And we have a lot of stores around here. In fact, it's kind of a tourist area because we have two casinos and we have water, the activities galore. We have a lot going on in our little town. And so she had a lot of places she could go to. We have a huge hospital here, a lot of doctor's offices. She was a pharmaceutical salesperson or something. Odds of that. So after Marshall's, I'm really going somewhere with this. I really was like, oh my goodness, something's happening because that was above and beyond. Everybody, you did a good job lining us up at the exact same moment. She was there. I came right in, and she had been standing there 10, 15 minutes. Oh, ugh, ugh. And at that point, I went, something, something. I look around. It's like, who's in charge here? All right. Um, so, okay. Next stop was a grocery store. And there's a grocery store not too far from us, and they have the most wonderful potato salad. And I get cream for my coffee. And I pulled in, and my friend called. And she said, I gotta share a story with you. Remember, we're only talking after I left Marshall's. Of course, I went through the whole store. And then I got to the grocery store. I parked, and she calls. Finally, finally. And she said, I gotta share a story with you. Okay. Well, last night, my friend came over. And this friend has got something that happened in his family, and there's a grieving going on. And she says, my friend had a story to tell me. I go, okay. She said that you gave her a reading 10 years ago. Okay. And I'm sure that my friend referred her to me, but 10 years ago. And my friend told me that in 10 years, I would be single and start a brand new career. Well, her husband is going to be transitioning very, very soon. 10 years ago. So my friend is at a professional level and she's going to change careers. We've talked about it for 6 months, her changing and how she would re-identify herself. And so we will join our Mrs. Karen, and it's been an absolutely amazing journey. And I asked her, I said, well, what do you think about this? She says, it feels like when she told me that I got riveted because what I thought of my life was this tremendous thing happening to us, not to her, but to us. And that at times out of control, how do I deal with the what if game? What am I doing? What am I doing? And of course, I've been right there every step trying to get her through this. I've been hospice twice, trained twice, and it's not like the one thing I do the most of, but it's really something I do a lot of. And and I said to her, what that, and I told her about meeting that lady. And I said, do you think I was in control of that? Or do you think the universe is trying to prove a point that we are not in control? That they maneuvered, both of us or me, to think of going to Marshall's, but I had to go to the post office first. I could have not gotten there. I could have taken my time. I could have missed this moment. Oh, no, no, no. Exactly the same place at the same time. We are doing exactly what we're meant to do in the moment we're doing this. What you're going through is exactly what I told this friend of yours 10 years ago. How how close to your timeline of the things you designed for your life do you think you're on track to? Too big to even comprehend. Then the friend added, she was recently divorced 10 years ago, raising four boys. Mayhem with four boys. Craziness, working two jobs. She's a CPA, very smart. I vaguely remember 10 years, a long time for me to remember a client. People call up and go, remember me? And I'm going, oh, shoot, can I remember you? I sometimes I can. It's amazing, right? So she said to me, the woman telling my friend, she told me of the four boys that two of them would become CPAs. Well, there was a lot of unhappiness going through the household because the husband left and discord and acting out. And these two that I mentioned, she says she is absolutely wrong. Nancy does not know what she's speaking of. And guess she was pretty upset with me. You know, guess what? Both boys are CPAs. They're ending their college. One is a financial CPA, and the other one is a regular CPA. So a financial advisor, something, and then there must be other kinds because she said one is a regular and one is a financial advisor CPA. I don't know. Most people would know things, but she says of all the people and all the jobs that she could have said, of the two of my four boys, this is what she said, and it made her realize, this woman that was talking to my friend, that the story of our lives are very lined out. And why struggle? Why you have to put effort into your life, but you can't mess it up. You may not like the story that you have. You may think you know, but you don't know until it's laid out. Synchronicities, coincidences will show you the path. And when you wake up to this, you will be absolutely amazed. One last story, Shar. I
Oh no, that's
promise.
fine. Take your time.
Okay, so I do therapy shopping, and I do therapy shopping at two thrift stores locally. And sometimes I just go to get out of the house because I don't need anything. I mean, we got all the stores everybody else has, plus a lot of fast foods and everything because we're a tourist town. And so I have these little girls at one of the thrift stores. It's a country thrift store. I don't even know what it's called thrift store, Orville, California. And I was talking to the lady at the counter, and she looked at me. She says, "You are always happy." Am I? I don't know. Not all the time. I've had some medical lately. It's kind of put me on the floor. We all go through that. But when I'm out and about and I realize I breathe air and I'm walking and I'm really content with life. I'm really happy, happier than I thought I would be at this time. Maybe because I'm alive and I've had so many close calls. But these people in this thrift store, they see me and they remember me and they go, "We really like you coming in. It's really, you're really bright." And I'm standing there dumbfounded because I'm not sure how to take compliment. People do that, right? How do you take
Right.
compliments? I don't know. And so I'm standing there going, well, let me think here. I've got to think real fast. Yeah. And I said to her, I was going to say something. Also, the spirit man shows up next to her, and I went, "Oh, fudge." When some spirit person shows up, I feel compelled because if I don't, they'll follow me home and get mad at me. It's like I told you I showed up. I showed up and you didn't tell her. And I described this gentleman. He was very, very. I want to see if he shows up here. Golden hued, square jaw, nice mouth, kind of wide, wavy light brown hair like this. He gave me the impression 65, died of illness. And when I started describing all these things, she started crying. She says, "My grandpa, he died at 63 of cancer. Was he really skinny?" I said, "Oh no, picture of health. He was gorgeous. You ever seen these golden haired, golden skinned peoples? And their arms are just gorgeous and they have little light hairs on them. He was so smooth. It was just like, gorgeous, gorgeous." And she says, can I help you? I says, "Help me out with this." I bought a little table. And as I'm saying out there, this short, fat, rounder lady showed up, and I started laughing. And she says, "Oh my God, that was his ex-wife I described. It was his ex-wife. She just showed up." I started laughing because she was so short, like 4'11", and just as round as she was tall. It was really fun. Dark outfit. Remember, this is a grandpa, but I just loved it. And so I left, and she was just sobbing. And she went in and told everybody, "Oh, this lady, she couldn't have made this up." And I gave them all kinds of details. Goes home and tells her husband. Ah, woman's afraid. Well, how did she know what he looked like? And then his ex-wife shows up. So he brushed it off. Well, they've had poltergeist activity, crazy. And this is what convinced him. She changes the baby. She's got a 2-year-old. Changes the baby on the floor in the front room. Goes to clean up. He's a toddler. Walks off. Right? Where's the baby wipes? I don't know. Did she use them? Yeah, I can't find them. They go to bed that night. Guess where the baby wipes are? On her pillow. Ta-da! And I said, "Well, what that make you think?" And she says, "There's more." And I said, "Do you think that maybe," this is when I went back, and then she told me all this. I says, "Does it make you wonder? Does it make you happy? Does it make you think that there's more and that you stress about life too much?" And I remember she works at a thrift store, so maybe it's hard for her to find job other places. They probably struggle at times. And she got happy. And she said, "We're not in charge. I'm happy to think that Grandpa is fine and he's healthy looking. It's exciting." And her husband now believes. She thought she knew life. She didn't know. She was unhappy. And now she does have the truth. We think we understand life and we understand death and we understand forever. When Grandpa shows up, Grandpa doesn't look like her. Uh-uh. Mm-mm. I remember in 2000, 2001, this beautiful young woman came to visit me. People look at me and they wonder if I'm Portuguese or Puerto Rican or something. And my mother's father was English, Irish, and Scotch. And the mother's side of the family was American Indians. And good for Grandpa, you know. Guess what I look like, right? Really, really do. And at times you kind of wonder when you look at somebody. I look at Cheryl day long and I would never guess she's Polish and her mother's Mexican. I mean, who would know, right? You can look at somebody all day long. So this beautiful young woman, similar color to me, and she wanted to talk to spirit people. Well, I don't want names. I would like to know that you asked somebody, like did you ask for Uncle Fred? I mean, who do you want to talk to? And then if they hear their name, they step forward. And I was describing all these people, but they're Africans. Oh, dark skin, really dark skin. And I went, oops, I'm going to be really right or I'm going to be really wrong. And I started describing all those people. And she says, "I'm African American. I'm just light skinned. I was adopted into a family of much darker skinned peoples." I had no idea. I cannot judge anybody by, if you saw my sister, a blue-eyed blonde, Nordic, you would say, one of them's adopted. No, she just takes after dad. I take after grandma, both sides. we're both sides are represented in our family. But until you know, you don't know. And when you do know, you are surprised. Like the one beautiful young woman that was in 2000 with all her dead relatives showing up. Let's have a party. And it's like, I was scared to death of being wrong. I don't want to be wrong, but if you trust your vision does not lie. I cannot make a lie because the people who show up exactly the way they want to be described, which is amazing. Okay, I wanted to finish that up and moral of these stories, universe is in charge, and all this stuff are prejudging situations or going on a or I wrote a word I can't say on there. The moral of these stories, the universe is in charge. And what you think you know is sometimes not really what you think you know. And that sometimes we have to be shown what you should know.
Hmm.
We have to play that back a little times. Gossip about someone without knowing the truth or prejudging a situation that ultimately could harm you or someone else is not known until it's played out or you are told definitely for sure. And I have another expression because we don't know gossip or we don't know situations or how something happened or I've met somebody who was in prison and I thought I prejudged him. I thought prison, oh my gosh. When he told me what happened, I went, are you kidding me? And I always know a liar. You cannot talk to me. I will not admit to you I know, but your vibration changes. So you cannot lie to me because I will always find out. And so I found out what really happened, and I was embarrassed and ashamed of myself for judging someone for something that happened. So you cannot go there. So my expression is, it is a sin to harm another soul. When I do my readings, I have a plaque around here. It says, entrance to another soul as a sacred honor. It's an honor for me to help you and join with your spirit to look at your time or your situation. I'm very humble, and people who are not humble pay the piper. Keep
Hmm.
it in mind. If you are braggadocious or you step out and think you're better, excuse me, I'm just not going to say more. I'm just not going to say more. You do it with humble, for those of you who want to be readers, sacred honor, the universe. If you don't trust that and honor that, you will pay the price and will
Hmm.
always, always come back. All right. I hope you enjoyed tonight's show. And by the way, my favorite redheaded girlfriend has sent me a birthday gift. Last week, Char was under the weather. So hopefully, we're back on track for a while.
Yeah.
Yeah. But oh, I just saw the room. Hello, Lori, Jennifer, Corey, Kathy, Jennifer, Kathy. Oh, we got a couple of Kathy. Oh, how fun to
Pamela's
see you.
Pamela came
We have
tonight. Nice crowd.
Pamela, nice crowd.
Okay, so
Oh, there's Pamela. Yes,
before we sign off tonight,
yes.
let
It's
me get
pretty
straightened
too.
out
This
here.
room's got all this color in
I gotta
there.
make sure I have some oxygen here. My oxygen, yeah, my oxygen's right there.
What do you mean
We have a
oxygen?
tradition on our TikTok show that we do
What?
for people that have birthdays.
What?
And I think JJ and Lori were thinking, and Kathy, why didn't she? Is she gonna do it? Or is she not gonna do it? I don't know if I'm gonna get copyright strike or what I'm gonna get doing this between Facebook and YouTube, but here we go. Happy birthday
You are not
to
Marilyn, sweetie.
you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, dear Nancy. Happy birthday to
Sure. That is so
you.
sweet. Thank you, sweetie.
Oh,
And
I
the
need oxygen.
that was
I'll
really
give it back.
fun. I think that was really cute. Now, it is not my birthday today. It was 2 days ago. So,
That's
uh,
okay. I'm always off Sunday and stuff, so we're good.
another birthday would be in 2 days, May 4th. That was the universe sending me here.
So there you go. But that's what we
I
do, and
had a
that's
lot of fun, everybody. Thank you very much for coming. Corinne.
yeah.
And Corinne gave me two cakes with two hearts on it. Lovely to see you again, Nancy. Happy birthday again, Lori. I've had a lot of them in 35 years. We're just
Uh,
we're just aging by the minute. But you know what? I think if you can be as happy as possible in whatever you do,
mhm,
I think that keeps us young,
mhm,
younger.
mhm.
It's been hard. I've had a lot of changes, and unfortunately, health has been a problem with readers. We do have issues. I
Yeah.
had Graves' disease, and I had a few other things that were very difficult. But I love y'all, and it's amazing. I'm so grateful. It makes me cry. I had a rough marriage. I've had a rough life.
Mhm,
And when I got into this, I thought if I could help my friend Paula talked me into staying. And the conversation went that if I'm able to live 5 more years, how many more people can I help versus manholes and conduit?
mhm,
What
mhm.
is more interesting?
Absolutely.
So yeah, absolutely. And that's nothing against anybody here at telephone company, Auburn, California. So I'm not speaking against anybody. So no criticism. All right, Char, call it night. She's good. Oh, if you're interested in knowing about me or want to talk to me, nancymatz.com is where you sign up. Also, Nancy Matz author. Um, if ever I have time to merge them two together, it'll be Nancy Matz author. But for now, I have to have two. Paying big
Okay.
bucks for two. All right, sweetie.
All
Let
right. Again, a
listen.
quick reminder for those of you that aren't on TikTok. A lot of people don't like TikTok. Don't worry about it. TikTok's cool. We are going to be doing a field trip this weekend. I don't know if it's Saturday. Well, we got 3 days because it's a 3-day weekend, right? So it'll be one of the 3 days. We are going to go to the most haunted cemetery in Sacramento. And then afterwards, we're going to go have a nice picnic lunch by the river. So I'll let you guys know. You got to come over on TikTok. Go find the California Haunts on TikTok. And I'll let you guys know and give you updates over the weekend. As to when and what time we're going to be doing this stuff. Me and my poor producer, I'm going to drag her out, get her moving out there. And my reluctant producer, who not so much reluctant to produce, but be on camera, so I have to be really careful. But yeah, so we're going to be doing that this weekend, and be on the lookout next week or so for psychic development classes. I'm going to teach you guys how to develop your beginning psychic skills. You guys may think you have psychic skills already, but you don't know until you know how to handle them and control them. If you open the door too
You think
wide,
you know, but you don't
yeah,
know
but you
until you're
don't know
told
until
you
you know,
can.
right? Yeah,
Yeah,
because a lot can happen by just simply opening that door a crack without knowing how to shut the
yeah.
door. Okay,
Uh-huh.
because yeah, once that's open,
Got to control it.
it's like game night at Cocoa Palms, and they just come through. So I'm going to teach you guys how to do that. So yeah, so that's what's upcoming, and then tonight around 7, I'm hoping around 7:25 p.m. Pacific, we will be on TikTok at California Haunts. Again, California Haunts. I'll be on TikTok. I will be doing 3 tarot card reads. They're general reads, past, present, future, for free. But gifts are appreciated.
I love
Gifts are
that. Yeah.
appreciated. Yeah. So come on over, join us. We have a great time. We've got over 7,200 people following us, and it makes for a wild night. But we have, if you decide to follow or you decide to subscribe, we're a big family over there. We're a big
Yeah.
family. We keep
She
an
has
eye
a
on
lot
each
of fun,
other.
everybody.
Yeah, when somebody doesn't come in after 2 or 3 days, one of us, one of the moderators or I will contact them to see what's going on with them if they're feeling okay or whatever. And then we have times when it's really slow at night, and so for the last hour, we'll talk about either ghost stuff or we'll talk about stuff that's going on with us. It's a wide open field. We just have a discussion. We're a big family. So come on over tonight. Check us out. Again, around 7:25 p.m. Pacific. TikTok, California Haunts, and don't be afraid of TikTok. Okay, don't be afraid of no matter what they say. Don't be afraid. Come on over. All right, guys. So I will see you guys tonight again, and then tomorrow we'll be on TikTok again at 7 p.m. Pacific, and then Sunday we're back over here and on TikTok and Facebook, and we're going to be reading at 5 p.m. Pacific. And it's not going to be true ghost stories this time. These are going to be ghost stories written by big time writers like Edgar Allan Poe, and people like that this time in this book. It's really sounding like a fascinating book. But the book is compiled by a scientist who studied ghosts. So she's picked stories in this book that are based on real things that various real
Mhm.
hauntings. So yeah, so we're going to be reading that. So I'm excited about that. So join us on Sunday, and then again Monday again we will be back over TikTok doing readings and start getting this show rolling. We're going to be able to air probably starting sometime towards the end of next week on all three networks. We're going to be at Facebook, YouTube, and TikTok, airing this show. So it's starting to get interesting. Like Nancy says, we're going to take off like a rocket. It's coming. It's coming. You can
Mhm.
feel it. So it's a buildup. So I will see you guys shortly. And Nancy, it's always fun to have you. Thank you so much.
And
And
if we don't talk by tomorrow, the next day, make sure you touch base with me about the cemetery. If you
okay.
want me to help you out,
Yeah,
I'd love
yeah,
to.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
You betcha.
Yeah, there's a few in there that Nancy scared me. So no, no, seriously, there's a couple in there where I've had experiences without Nancy being there even during the day, and it's interesting. I scared a whole cemetery tour one night, but that's a story for when we're there the weekend. So
We should do a show just on all the stories of mine doing the tour.
yeah,
Talk about maybe someone would be interested in knowing if they live locally, they could go down
yeah,
there and check these out. I
yeah.
don't know if they've had after he died. I know they had other tours, but the information they talked about was all what I already
What
discovered
I
in his
find
wisdom.
interesting, I didn't know that he'd passed away, and
Mm.
I was down there. We were doing team photos with Karen and Michael, her husband and the team members. Well, Karen was smoking a cigarette. I have a photo. This is to close on tonight. Karen was smoking a cigarette break. In that garden they have a little garden area and it has a water fountain in there,
Well, that's
kind of in the
dedicated to
center.
him. Yeah, sure.
Okay. Anyway, off to the right, off to the left of Karen, there's an apparition, and it's
He
not
was
her cigarette
smoking.
smoke. So I thought I kind of laughingly said, because after I found out he passed away, I laughingly looked at it and went, "Oh, it's John Betancourt coming to check us out," and it
Yeah,
probably was,
it was
you
his
know.
fountain.
But
He
yeah,
probably
so
didn't like me smoking.
yeah, didn't
Oh,
like her
and
smoking or
so,
whatever.
yeah, I should probably add, and this shows at the tail end, maybe no one will stick around this long, but the year that he had me come on board, which was July of
Mhm.
'95, they had just had a terrible vandalism incident.
Mhm. Mhm.
And I guess some kids got in there and with baseball bats, they just broke
Mhm.
tons, hundreds.
Oh, it's horrible.
There was no way to get any money. And
Mhm.
so they decided they'd bring some on board and they had tried out a couple other people. And when I came in with that story with the three babies, he went, okay, we're going to make some money here. They made a lot of money off of me
And that
with
is
my effort.
also
Hmm.
when they started the program, which my team was involved in for like 10 years, where they had people come in and beautify the cemetery too. And we
Yes,
were
yeah,
we, we were assigned 12 plots, and we were able to go in there and put flowers in and all kinds of stuff to help it. And if you
beautiful.
go in there, like right now, this time of year before the heat hits, gorgeous cemetery. It's a Victorian cemetery. So you guys
Well,
will
it's
feel
split in
that.
two. The first
Yeah,
10,000 are
yeah,
all 1800s, and John
yeah,
Sutter's buried right there at the entrance.
yeah, yeah.
So it's
So
really hmm
like I said, you're going to
notary.
recognize some names, like the Watt family, as in the light bulb, people, and the Kodak family, as in the camera people, and yeah, so you're going to recognize a bunch of names. All right, guys, I'll see you. I'll see you at TikTok, and have a great evening, Nancy. And
Have a great, thank you. Thank you for the happy birthday.
there
And
you
everybody,
go.
thank you. And the birthday, that was so sweet. I didn't know you can get those things. Thank you, everybody.
All right.
See you next week. Bye bye.